Hi guys and welcome back to Arsenal Army. So the season's coming to an end. That means that the transfer links increase. Especially as an Arsenal fan, we wake up every day and see a new player linked to our club. But I'm gonna try and make these videos more frequently as the summer progresses and the news broadens. Just let me know if you guys enjoy it, to be honest. I'm also going to try and not lie in these videos. A lot of channels, will make out they know every single player and they've been watching them all year. I can't tell you that I've been watching these players throughout the year, maybe on the one-off occasions. But I've definitely read into these players. I've made a little list of things that they are good at and things they can improve on. So starting with Xavi Simons, he's been linked to us this morning. Now he obviously plays for Leipzig, but he's owned by PSG, and apparently he won't be going back to PSG this summer, so he's up for sale. They are reportedly wanting about £52 million. He's 20 years old. He can play anywhere really in the attack, which is something Arteta always looks for. He's fast with his feet. He's composed. He can finish. And he has good work rate, which I've read about. He's very disciplined, which again is another thing Arteta looks for in a player, especially in an attacker. Obviously, the one thing I've read about him that he isn't too good at is his weak foot, but again, that's not the end of the world. In my honest opinion, he could be a very exciting player. I mean, I've heard a lot about him. I've watched him on a couple occasions. I'm not going to say I watched him every week, but he's always been a name that's been out there, and he looks like he's progressing in his career now, being out on loan to Leipzig. So I've read also that we have competition with Bayern Munich to sign him, which is a big club. So I don't know if I don't know if there's so much truth in this, but if we can secure a player like Xavi Simons, I'm sure it's only going to bring positive things, especially for that left wing. Next, we've got another Leipzig player. His name is Benjamin Sesko. We've heard recently quite a lot about him. We've been linked for him for a couple months now, saying that we will be quite interested when the transfer window opens. He's only 20, and he is 6'4", so he's a big guy. He's a striker, and reading about him, it kind of seems to me he's very similar to Isaac, where he's got good dribbling, he's fast, and his movement's very good, and he can also finish. Obviously, I don't know. Again, not watched him every week. I've seen him on a couple occasions, but he does look quite good. Like he has got that pace that we need and that clinical finishing, which we always lack. They do want 64 million for him, which is a decent amount. I mean, it's all depending on what other targets we have for the summer in that position. We always get linked to Isaac and even Tony, but even that's dropped a little bit. But 64 million is a decent amount for a player that I'm sure Arsenal fans don't know a lot about. But in my opinion, we need a player of that in that position. I don't know if he's of our caliber, but if Arteta wants him, we trust him. Next is two players that have been linked out of the club, and this was reported this morning, and I think it was by Fabrizio Romano, so it's a reliable source. First, Gabriel Jesus. Look, in our opinion, he's a good player. I think we all know he's a good player, but it doesn't look like he can play the role as our main striker in the season. Just doesn't score enough goals, but he's a very skillful player. He's been linked out to Saudi clubs, which is interesting. I thought he was a bit maybe too young to be linked out to the Saudi teams, but that's what's come out. And next is a player that I think we all kind of have a feeling is going to leave in the summer, just depending where and for how much. Thomas Partey. I think it's a real shame. Like, he's one of my favourite midfielders. He does make the team look more solid, but he is very injury prone. We hardly have seen him this season. He's just had a good run of games towards the end. He's also linked out to Saudi clubs, and I believe Juventus were interested in him in January. So there's a couple teams interested in him. So there's a player by the name of João Neves, also linked with us this morning. He's only 19 years old, and he can play throughout the midfield, plays for Benfica in Portugal. He has a release clause of 103 million, which is a hell of a lot of money. I mean, that is on par with Declan Rice money, and we know he's not as proven as Declan Rice, so I don't know if we're going to be going for him at 103 million, maybe putting it a bit lower. There's reportedly quite a bit of competition for this player, which is news to me because if I'm being honest, and like I said, I will be honest, I have never watched him play. But reading reports, it says that he's composed, he's got very good technical ability, he wins his duels, and he can definitely find the pass. He just lacks experience. But to say where or who he would replace would be interesting. I mean, at 5'9", I can't really see him replacing Partey as that dominant CDM. Maybe as a box to box and having Reiss as a DM could be a possibility. But if anyone knows anything about João Neves that I haven't said, feel free to leave it in the comments for us to read. But yeah, I'll get into the next player. Then the last player I'm going to talk about in this video, and believe me, there's been a lot more we've been linked to this morning and this week. But I'm going to probably make another video about the rest of the players because I don't want to make this too long. I can understand how it gets a bit too factual for you guys. I mean, even for me saying it gets a bit much. But Bruno Guimaraes, a player we know very well, a player that I can now say I've watched a lot of and I really enjoy watching him. They want 100 million from Newcastle, but we face competition apparently from Man City, which is always a hard team to compete with, to be honest with you, as we've seen this for Declan Rice. Declan Rice picked us, which we're lucky for, but it could go anywhere with a player like Bruno Guimaraes. He's been a very bright spark for Newcastle, which they haven't had the season I thought they were going to have this year, but him and Isaac had definitely been their key players. I've left a little picture in the top left corner to show that he is top of the stats for a lot of things. His turnovers have been the most. He's got the best turnover percentage, counter pressing. He's been the best at it. So as a holding midfielder, he could be the player that we go for if we sell Partey. And I don't think I'd be too upset with him coming in. Obviously, 100 million is a lot of money. Again, Declan Rice kind of money. But if you're looking at the player I spoke before, João Neves, where I know hardly anything about, and then we get a player like Bruno Guimaraes for around the same money, I know which one I'm going to pick. Obviously, in an opinion where I haven't watched João Neves that much, but I would love to see him at Arsenal, Bruno Guimaraes. He is a very solid player. But yeah, that's all I'm going to talk about this video. I'll probably come back with another video maybe tomorrow or the day after, talking about more players. But if you guys enjoyed, let me know in the comments. I'll carry on making these kind of videos, and give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.